Hello and welcome back to Planet Watch. This week we're going to be talking about Gemini with Mary Jane. Hi, Mary Jane. How are you doing?
Hello, hello, all of you out there.
Good to see ya. It's
Good
so
to see you
we're recording
too.
to. Oh, is that?
I said we've got a lot of to talk about here in Gemini. It's a very exciting time. So
It's gonna be busy.
we'll
It's gonna be
yeah.
busy, and I know. And it's raining there. It's raining here.
Yeah, we're just sitting around waiting for summer for the spring to start even or start looking decent. It will. But and I'm thinking we've got an eclipse coming up a little later, a full new moon eclipse, and that should get things settled down and in some kind of workable, decent outside weather. We'll hope so, right?
Really? Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. Now, yeah, we've got a few eclipses coming up this month.
Well, yes, we've got, first of all, the lunar return, the lunar eclipse, first of all, early on, 26th of May, that I want to talk about in extenso because somehow these lunar eclipses sort of get swept under the rug and nobody pays too much attention to them. And yet, I've always found they're pretty important in the sense when you look at it, it's a full moon, huh? Where the Earth is kind of in a sandwich in between the sun and the moon, right? And it's the Earth that's making a shadow on the sun for once. Now, what this means is that this invitation from the moon to the sun to bring out more light, to reflect more light, to let us tie into the difference between these energies is cut off by our little earthly rock here in the middle. And all of a sudden, this wonderful extension of information and energy is cut in half because we're sitting there in the middle worrying about our little details. Here in from Sagittarius to Gemini, we're worrying about little details of our lives and our little egos and our little problems and we lose complete track of the big picture. This is really too silly.
Yeah,
So
right, right, right.
yeah, so what I like for people to do and it's an exciting time too. Any full moon is pretty exciting, but here in from Sagittarius to Gemini, it's this call for adventure. It's this call for movement. It's nervous. So Gemini energy is all about the nervous system. It's all about communication. It's all about the mental process,
Hmm.
especially on a day-to-day taking care of business kind of level. So we've got all this nervousness coming up, and we don't know how to just shut up and use it. Shut up and you
Right.
know this
What
is
do we do
this
with
is
it?
this is what's going to go on this month, these first days anyway. And then the next day, in fact, the moon is going to be making the official opposition to Mercury, our favorite planet this month, huh?
Right.
And I want everybody out there to just be very careful driving, be very careful making travel plans and traveling in itself, because it's a very hectic time. We're all wired anyhow, and not paying proper attention as a rule to our movements, to our decisions, to our spoken word. This can be important
Sure.
too.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, they have a saying in French: you turn your tongue around 3 times in your mouth before you say something. And this is not a bad idea with this crazy full moon eclipse happening opposite to Mercury.
I always equate the moon with emotions
Mhm.
because, right, the moon has a tidal effect on water, which we're mostly water, and emotions are,
Sure.
in the body, the fluids in the body are very
Mhm,
emotional.
mhm.
I mean, it's like, is a lunar eclipse an emotional time too?
Well, any full moon, in fact, a lot of
Yeah.
people don't sleep. A lot of people are extremely distraught or nervous, anxious under a full moon for this very reason. In fact, it's like an internal tidal wave, and certainly like an emotional. or psychological tidal wave, in fact.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's high tide. It really is high tide, and can be a very stressing time for a lot of people. Now, as soon as we've got this eclipse happening, as our earthly rock is in the middle of this energy, why all of a sudden we're all concerned about, oh dear, our very selfish and self-centered interests that seem to go awry in between Sagittarius and Gemini. This is a very sloppy, abstract thinking kind of axis, and we just don't usually perform very well under this particular full moon. It can be extremely enervating, just really
Okay, good to know.
anxious. Hmm.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Which is why we do this, so that we
Well,
can,
right.
let everyone know you may
So
be feeling
this is it.
something.
What I really wanted to say, and I think the major thing, people are going through a lot of things right now. We've got students taking their final exams and looking forward to vacation and getting all that kind of stuff done. We've got people winding up. There'll be a lot of job changes along the
Ooh,
way here, and some people are lining those changes up. It seems like a huge call for, let's go get something started, get something finished, get something done. It's terrible time to be doing final exams. I just want to tell all of those
okay.
out there to sleep,
Yeah.
to don't lose track of the big picture. Again, I say, think about your entire global subject as you're going into your exams, instead of paying too much attention to the little details and so on. Keep the big picture, and the details will come flooding in. That's fine, but it's just too easy to be shocked, to be
Mhm.
just too nervous.
Yeah. So, I mean, just having a little bit of foresight, it's like heads up, you may be feeling a little bit
That's what we're here for.
nervous. Exactly. That's what we're doing here, right?
Yep, that's
Yeah.
what we're doing.
So there's that lunar eclipse coming up fairly soon, and
Yeah,
so what else?
26th.
Yeah, the
Hmm.
26th. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You said there was maybe another eclipse coming up as well.
Well, as these eclipses always happen, or almost always happen, very close to each other, huh? In 2 weeks, 2 weeks later, we have the solar eclipse that will accompany this. This doesn't look too much involved for the lunar eclipse either. In fact, are not going to be touching on U.S. soil very much. They seem to be only very partial. This one, the solar eclipse, is a little more active here in Europe. And I'll have more information about that eclipse chart. Again, the solar eclipses are important because they set in motion for at least 6 months things that are going to be happening globally. And so I want to take time to break this down and get us off to a better start. But I think this solar eclipse is going to be a time that's going to correct a lot of bad thinking and bad starts, bad ends that we're going to be seeing in the next couple of weeks, I'm afraid. But anyway, we'll have a closer look at that in a couple of weeks. I'll send out some information too.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. So everybody, please um, go on Facebook and like Radiate Wellness LLC, join Radiate Wellness Community, which is our free group. And then if you really want to take a deep dive, join Radiate You, which is our premium group. And the premium group has lots of extra content.
The solar eclipse that's coming up on the 10th of June,
Mhm.
which is going to set in motion again a new paradigm for the 6 months, usually about 6 months coming up after the eclipse. So we'll have more of a better picture of what's in shape for us a little later after this solar eclipse, but which is going to color as well things going on in this month of Gemini. So as it's all happening kind of together, and the solar eclipse is going to be important because Gemini is in very strong conjunction to the sun at that same moment, and the moon. So here we go again. Our little friend Gemini, who's already pretty confused this month
Yes.
and in retrograde, is going to have a party there on the 10th of June, but we'll have a little time to talk about that in a little while.
Oh, fun, fun, fun. Okay. Right. So what else do we have to look forward to during this season
Well,
coming up?
let's get some good stuff going first of all, because
Yeah, let's hear something good.
isn't that a nice change? I
Yeah.
always just pound you into the ground with strange things going on, but there are in fact some very nice dates. Now, June, this Gemini period is always rife with weddings. It's like the movie where you get tons of wedding invitations and stuff like that. I've never personally understood why anybody would want to get married under the sign of Gemini, which is already a double sign, which is already a mutable sign. This
Right.
means that, it tends to sort of dissipate. It's really dissipated energy. Yes, communication. Yes, it's a wonderful time to have a party, but it's not necessarily the best time to be getting married. But oh well, people do.
People do.
And, if I can get invited, I just love to. But meanwhile, I'd like to point out a few really fine, super dates to be doing this. And I know the weddings we're talking about right now have been planned forever,
Right. They were postponed last year.
also postponed. So
Right.
maybe people are wanting to catch up now. Well, if I can put in some nice dates for you, I certainly will. The first one I have in mind is the 1st of June. I don't know what day that is exactly, uh, where there's a very nice movement of the moon over Jupiter. It's involved with Venus. It's just a beautiful, beautiful thing to be uh, legitimizing or legalizing your love affair. As soon
Right.
as Jupiter gets involved, why we're setting boundaries and we're setting rules and getting involved in society. We're no longer cocooning just together. We're going to announce ourselves out in society. This is great. And that's a beautiful date. The 1st of June is lovely. The 4th and 5th of June are also wonderful, really, really fine dates. Again, we have this lovely Venus that's in a beautiful trine with Jupiter. Say amen, say we amen, just say yes anytime anybody asks you a question. and, and you're home free. There's a little bit of a hangover here especially with the 4th and the 5th of June. There's the idea of having to be willing to leave someone behind. It's as though one or the other of these future mates have had to say goodbye, have had to leave behind a former affair, a former life. And you have to be willing to do that, to really say, okay, everybody, let's get forward bound here and leave other people, other remembrances, other bad feelings, hangers on, leave
Right.
them behind.
Okay.
This seems important. The moon is square to Venus. Now, this indicates usually a pair of lovers. Sometimes it's the female element, but not necessarily. There's always this notion of having to think of the card, the lover in the tarot.
Yes.
There's the young man there in the middle, and he's got the very serious older lady on his left side, and he's got this gorgeous babe on the right side, and he's sort of pulled between them.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of thinking is happening through the month, in fact.
Yeah.
But so I like to tell people, study carefully the promises you're making, first of all. uh,
Yeah.
our Mercury retrograde is square to Neptune, and so you're likely to say just any old thing, and you don't really want to do that on your wedding day.
Yeah.
So study carefully the promises you're making. Be willing to uphold them, and be willing to let go of past affairs, past lives, way. This
Yes,
seems to
yes.
be important. This seems to be important. However, these are lovely dates. And the other, a very fine date, a little later in the month, we're looking at the 12th of June
Hmm.
after this new solar eclipse. And it's a period where we're going to see happy surprises. You run into people who, to when I drew this up, I was thinking, this sounds like the class reunion, where you go back and you find your old friends, and oh yeah, people are doing new stuff, and maybe there are some new husbands and wives to meet, and new heads in all kinds of situations. There are some disappointments in this class reunion too. You see some of these folks and you say, oh my God, he's just really gone to hell. and, and there are some disappointments in some friendships, perhaps, to come across during this same period. But basically, the tendency is more toward the new, I must say, the new and the fresh, than toward the old and the tired. Let's say that.
Okay, okay.
So those are some very, very nice periods, in fact, that I hope you'll be able to use.
Yeah, I mean, really doesn't sound bad. I mean, all of it, even, is even the eclipses are for our benefit, and, if we use them wisely.
If we use them wisely, this is always the thing. You can either, all of these movements, you can either be subject to them or use them as subjects to go out and do something new, or do it more carefully. Do what you need to do, but under right circumstances with the right frame of mind. And that's what we're after here, isn't it? After all, so.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the right frame of mind. Wonderful. So you told us some dates that we need to like look out for, in terms of, being careful on the road, careful in our travels, some great dates for
Mhm.
togetherness, et cetera, et cetera. What else do we have to look forward to in Gemini?
Well, the other things get a little, there's one date that it sort of intrigued me. Again, it's around the 3rd of June. We have a very nice moon going over situated Neptune. So she's square to Mercury, but in a very nice trine to Mars. This looks like the outdoor field day for everyone. It's excellent for endurance sports. It's excellent for all kinds of sporting events. If or our own personal exercise, our own personal challenges, if this is the time you want to go climb that mountain, this is the time you want to get involved in, again, endurance, tennis championships and so on. Wonderful for this particular date. I don't know if it's a weekend, I don't know what's involved there.
What was the date
Third,
again?
3rd of June. Hmm?
The third of June.
Yep.
Yep, absolutely. So that's a Thursday. Well, and this
Oh,
leads into that weekend that you said was so wonderful for
uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
couples
Yeah.
and married.
Exactly, exactly. The 1st of June is good for all kinds of things, all kinds of meetings, all kinds of interviews, all kinds of get-togethers of all sizes and colors. This is on the first degree of the conjunction with Jupiter is happening on the first degree of Pisces. This is not altogether unimportant either. In the next few days, Jupiter is going to be entering the sign of Pisces. Jupiter is very much at ease in Pisces, one of the ruling planets of Pisces, and tends to, well, he can be in charge of, among other things, spiritual breakthrough. This is the wonderful time to be heavy into meditation, heavy into receiving messages through this month that Jupiter is going to be in Pisces. Excellent for that kind of affair, but also very useful for, again, meeting of minds on all kinds of levels.
Mhm.
Um, this makes me think in a very nice contact with Mercury retrograde too. There's this notion of refinding old friends, re-establishing former communications. This is very interesting. It's also an excellent time for interview, as I said, and for signing contracts, signing whatever.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, even perhaps like high school reunions, which tend to happen in the spring. Right.
Yeah, they tend to, and this is a very nice time for this. There are some other less easy periods to be running into people. One that I cannot imagine is the 7th of June, when the moon is going to be going over and recreating this nasty square between Uranus and Saturn that's been following us around for all this time.
Ah,
So what we get, and again, we're going to see an escalation in the territorial wars. The things going on
oh, in
in
Israel and God.
Israel is making me
Oh,
personally crazy
oh,
because
absolutely.
so well, I won't get involved, but it's all about this territory and this holding on to the past, holding on to every. Uh, they could fight over a flower pot, just anything that has anything of value to them territorially is up for grabs. And this, I think, we're going to see a considerable escalation around the 7th of June.
Yeah, that's
Ready? I mean, it's nasty enough
unfortunate.
as it is, right?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
it's that kind of a sky, and this can happen between neighbors too. People are going to be fighting over boundary lines and fences and cut back your tree and this kind of stuff. And this is not a right thinking. This is not something we want to get involved in if we can possibly avoid it at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Looks kind of nasty that particular day, particularly.
Right.
The other one is, let's see, no, actually rather nice on I'm skipping ahead a little bit, on the 17th of June.
Mm-hmm.
We have a nice period of of settling old qualms, first of all, settling old arguments, and getting back on a right track about thinking about what is ours and what we need to protect ourselves. This could be a period with a little luck. This will be a time of perhaps of a ceasefire or some other settling down of arguments that are going on all kinds of levels.
Right.
We'll just hope that that works out kind of like that. Um, I'm thinking before that, though, the 14th of June is the other end of this argument going on in between big pharmacy and big vaccination needs, big vaccine campaigns.
Right.
we This might be a turning point as well, where we can finally say the roads are open to either easier distribution of products already existing, or just in fact an easing up of patent rules and so on. Are we going to get a better chain of supply going on
Mm-hmm.
a worldwide level? This is something that we have to fight, we have to look at too. And again, we're going to be talking, I think, through there, and probably all month, we're going to be talking over and over again about this need to protect our interests. As soon as we're talking about these vaccines, we're talking about all the patent rights. We're talking about, is there going to be a let up in the supply of these vaccines that are necessary now on a worldwide level? Are we going to see new problems coming out of India? To what extent are the existing vaccines going to be useful in this fourth wave?
Mm-hmm.
Things remain to be seen and seem to be extremely important this month, in fact.
This, yes, 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 yes. Yeah, right. Because we were talking about how the vaccine effort in India had been going very well, and it could be kind of falling apart.
That the news today was not very positive, that they're seeing all kinds of setbacks and this lack of oxygen. First of all, tanks of oxygen for reanimation just is critical, maybe more important than the vaccination themselves that were going pretty well.
Right.
But are we going to have vaccines that are adequate for their uh, particular strain. This is going to be, I think, a huge testing ground. It's going to be a huge watershed, and we'll know more as Mercury comes back direct the 23rd of June. We'll talk about that next month. But until then, I'd say this month it's really up in the air, and it's all again. We're back on the petri dish, as far as seeing how what's growing there.
Oh my goodness. And of course, the what happens in one country eventually affects the rest of the countries.
Well, yeah, it seems to, especially a country like India, it's hard to close those boundaries. It's
Yeah,
hard to keep folks from coming in and folks from going out, especially folks from going out.
exactly.
So I don't know. I don't know where that's going. I honestly
Yeah.
don't.
And I've heard it compared to having a peeing section in the swimming pool.
Yes, rather.
Doesn't work,
Yeah, that's about it.
right? So
That's
eventually
about it.
these strains will be met everywhere else. So yeah, we've got to do everything that we can to make sure that all the countries are being taken care of, all of the countries are having what they need and vaccine and yeah. So
For sure,
interesting.
it's not going to be easy, but yes, just a time to just fight the good fight, and again, not lose track of the big picture. We're going to be mired down in these details about transfer, travel,
Yeah.
making, distribution, and all of that is going to be extremely difficult this month. So it's just very necessary to keep our eye on all of the big pictures, and they're becoming pressing,
Oh,
actually.
absolutely. Well, but in talking with you, I'm seeing that we don't have quite the heavy energies that we did last fall of people being, on a public scale being very
Oh, yeah.
heavy, dark,
Oh,
dense,
oh,
right?
definitely, definitely. As soon as we got Saturn and Jupiter moved out of that nasty, nasty bit with Capricorn, uh, we're all breathing freer at present. So,
Right, 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 right.
and this month, the beauty of the being again, once again, in an air sign, is that we can hook up more easily with Saturn. Saturn now in Aquarius. Jupiter has already gone on and is loping through a Pisces right now. But this tie up in Aquarius is going to allow us to grow on this new era of reform, actually. And I think with that in mind, we're going to see a lot of doors and windows opening. Even through this quagmire, even through this confusion, there's going to be a new organization of thought, a new organization of design. And that's going to be very important, very useful this month in particular.
Yes. Oh, that sounds great. Because,
Well, that's the good news, at least
that's
about
good
being in this crazy time of Gemini, where otherwise things don't necessarily get done. But with the help of this wonderful Saturn in Aquarius, who has so many ideas, who is so inventive, who is so not only inventive but also focused. That's the beauty of Saturn. Whatever else he is, he's definitely focused. So he's going to help us. And through the month, as the sun goes on and hooks up again even more strongly with Saturn, we're going to be able to use this notion of focusing and finally organizing our ideas to get something done with them. To get them on the road.
good. Yeah, the whole energy this year, 2021, feels a bit more organized in general.
Yeah.
My
Oh,
mind,
definitely.
right?
Definitely.
And
Yeah, I'm thinking so. Again, the movement of these two planets, particularly into Aquarius, just open doors and windows. We get a fresh air. And finally, you look back at everything that was happening last year and think, oh, that's so 2020. It's just old hat. We don't need that. We don't want that anymore. And it's time to take advantage of these openings, new
absolutely.
desires, really new desires.
No, that's a breath of fresh air.
Ah, wow, and how,
And
and how.
how
Hmm.
wonderful. And then we've got the solstice coming up too.
Yes, and we'll talk about that more thoroughly. Again, I'll send out a brief report. I'm sure people are going to be hearing about this solstice a whole lot, but it's going to be interesting for us. Again, happening very close to the solstice, the solar eclipse already happening very close to the solstice. Is going to set off a new energy for us. So yes, we'll have to maybe we can do a little again another report in between.
Oh, yeah, that's a very good idea. Well, we're going to have the
In any case, we'll have
solstice. hmm We've got
we're going to have the ingress into June in any case. So this is all sort of happening together.
together. We'll also having the solstice healing circle,
Ah, right.
right? On the 19th, I believe. Yes, on the 19th. And that will be an
Oh, yeah,
opportunity for
that's
everyone
right.
in Radiate Wellness to come together and, you know, talk about the energies that are going on, how we can incorporate that in our bodies. We'll have some energy work. It's going to be great. So, and then
Super.
for those in the Kansas City area, we're also having a solstice drumming circle on the 21st. And Mary Jane, as always, you are invited, and I understand it will be the middle of the night for you,
Oh, well, I'll see you in my dreams in any case. I'll
right?
probably hear you in my dreams.
With any luck at all. Well, fantastic. This has been the Gemini Report, and we'll see you again in Cancer.
Answer.
Well,
See you then.
and hopefully between then and around the solstice.